little bit.
Oh, well, good.
Oh, perfect.
Much better.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Jerry. How you doing?
Oh, yeah. You're rude.
We're good.
We're good?
We're good.
Catalina, we're good on your end? Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna call this April 24th meeting of the Albany Library District Board of Trustees meeting together at 4:32 p.m. And as always, we are going to start with our land acknowledgement. The Altadena Library District acknowledges its presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded land of the Gabrielino Tonga peoples. Altadena is located on the stolen homelands of the Hahamanga tribal band. The traditional territory of the Gabrielino Tonga is referred to as Tonga Nugar, which includes the areas currently known as Los Angeles County, Riverside County, West San Bernardino County, parts of Orange County, as well as the 4 Southern Channel Islands. Entities such as the U.S. government and non-native settlers have subjected the Gabrielino Tonga peoples to historic and continuing injustices, including genocide, forced displacement, and cultural and linguistic erasure. Altadena Library commits to learning, educating, and informing its staff and residents of present-day Altadena about the rich histories, vibrant communities, and culture of the Gabrielino Tonga people, present and past, through our collection development, resources, and program offerings. So with that, do we have any public comment on the closed session agenda?
We do not.
Okay. Can I get a motion? I don't have to get a motion, right? I can just call convene. Okay. So with that, I will convene us into closed session at 4:33. And hopefully we will be back relatively soon. Thank you, everyone. And we're going to Mickey's office as usual.
I've been, last part of the week, so.
Yeah, no, thank you. I love it. I was
Well,
wearing mine
yeah.
all day the other week because I was like, this is allergies, is this what?
Right, so I'm gonna call us back into open session at 4:59 PM. And we have no reportable action from our closed session. So with that said, I will go and take the official roll call. Trustee Lynn. Here. Trustee Andrews. Here. Trustee Clark.
Here.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Here,
And I am here as well. Any reordering of agenda items?
I have a motion to amend the agenda and add an item that came in at the last minute as a item of correspondence to the board. So I'm going to ask that we add under new business a discussion and action item regarding a request for letter of support for the Robert Owens Memorial sign.
Okay. So that would be
It was-
12
Yeah, mhm,
action items.
yeah,
Okay.
so moved.
Any other proposed changes to the agenda? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended? I move to approve the agenda as amended. Second?
Second.
What?
I went, yeah, it's your call.
I was supposed to defer.
Yeah, mhm, that's right, sound waves.
All right, so roll call to approve the agenda. Trustee Lynn. Aye. Trustee Andrews. Aye. Trustee Clark.
Aye.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Aye.
As I vote for me as well, so we have our agenda. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items?
Not on non-agenda items, we do have a public comment tonight for the redistricting, and I will read that after I open.
Is that? It's been a long time since we've had it. I like it. I like it. All the poking and prodding on social media got us on it. Very cool. Okay, thank you. All right, so next the consent calendar. Are there any amendments to the minutes? If not, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the March 23rd meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote to approve the minutes. Trustee Lynn. Aye. Trustee Andrews. Aye. Trustee Clark.
Aye.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Aye.
I vote for me as well. We did not remove any items from the calendar, so then that moves us on to our departmental updates and special presentations. So on the departmental reports, do we have any feedback, questions, comments from the trustees? I'll just say, I can't wait until we have a brand new library and we don't have to listen to toilet being flushed in the middle of our meeting. That's my first. Hopefully the YouTube can't hear that.
Twinkling sounds.
Yeah.
It's atmospheric. I just wanted to say how much I appreciated, it happened from a couple of departments, but just including some of the correspondence in the report. I thought that was great. It was really helpful to hear the kind of feedback that people were getting, and there were just a lot of really cool things. I was so excited to hear about our literacy writers award. That was amazing. So it was really fun to hear sort of the feedback that folks are getting.
Yeah, that story, the literacy story, like
Amazing.
I almost had tears.
Amazing.
On that one. That's like so many levels of amazing and yeah, just another notch in the belt of just looking forward to having a legitimate stand on its own literacy center about literacy.
I like the report about the Fab Lab utilization to make a logo and get some brand look to the product. You know, and I thought, well, that's really interesting because at the great example of somebody who's trying to get a business off the ground. They might not have a lot of money and can come to the Fab Lab and reel off a really important part of their business to church. That's a great example of how that service and the library accessibility can really make a difference in any business. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, what that made, what that one made me think of, and I put some notes in here is, you know, there's been some of the community forums and stuff around the design ideas for the new main library. There's been some questions about, you know, why are we looking at some of this kind of shared workspace ideas and stuff? And so when I saw that report, immediately in my head, I'm like, this is exactly why we're doing it.
Yeah,
Right? It's, there is no other place in Altadena to really kind of support young entrepreneurs and small businesses. Yeah.
Well, and that kind of one-off thing, like somebody who's done that, you can't order a run of like 8 screen printed, like it's just prohibitively insanely expensive. So the fact that she was able to make them at what I have to imagine is very low cost, incredible. It's so cool.
Yep, and I actually saw somebody post on Nextdoor over the weekend asking about where she could make t-shirts or something for like some kind of event or small business. I was like, well, by the way.
That's great.
I would add, I'm excited to see the addition of these books on Islam added to the catalog, and I can't wait to check them out. Some others, I haven't seen any of these before, so I'm really excited about that. And then also just wanted to offer more formal thank you to Ashley for her support in an event that we hosted. We got the feedback from the I don't know what to call them, the upper leadership, that it was one of the best events that we hosted. So I was really excited to hear that. I wanted to share with you, and thank you very much for your support.
there was also an email that Nikki got regarding the people that had comments on banned books.
Mhm.
And first of all, happy National Library Week, everybody, because that's going on.
Right.
And when I checked the site, I found that there's actually a National Banned Book Week as well. It comes up in October. So we can send folks to learn more about it. It comes up. And then the final comment on that was kudos to the selectors and the books here at the library. And I have to agree with that. Every time I walk through towards your office, there's some intriguing new titles in there. It's really amazing.
I don't think I've ever, except for a travel book, I don't think I've ever gone into the stacks to pick a book. It's like you walk through this couple of shelves.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're like, okay, I've got to do my own reading here before I can get into the stack.
I know there was one time I went just heading to Nikki's office and probably checked out like 6 books that I could not read. I couldn't get through all of them and I had to bring them back before I could get through them. But I like the display, and I like that it's like heads up so you can see all the covers.
Yeah, I feel like a bad trustee every time I get that advance notice email.
Yeah.
Like I feel like somebody, like there's a staff member who's gonna see my name on that email and like, put me up on Facebook or something.
I always think that I'm gonna get away with it because it's still under my maiden name and no one will know that it's me.
Smart, smart.
See, there any comments?
Another robust report. I really enjoy reading it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
Okay, so we have a informational presentation. Cool.
Yeah, we thought we'd bring back presentations, but nothing on that crazy long agendas. Knock on wood.
All right, good evening, everyone, trustees, staff, and hopefully people watching. So I'm giving a presentation about our partnerships, which makes me really nervous because as I was making this presentation, I realized how many we have, and by me being a perfectionist and kind of wanting to include them all, which there's really no easy way to do that, and we don't have that kind of time. So you may even have to cut me off, at some point. But I wanted to make sure that I highlighted at least some of the ones you may not be aware of, or ones that you may not realize exactly how we are partnering with them. So this is by far not an exhaustive list. So if there is someone watching that we have partnered with, I do apologize if you are not included, but as I said, we have so many, as you have seen in the board reports. So
Sorry, we'll pause for just one second. I want to make sure it shows up on the live stream as well.
Can we open the curtains on this side just a little bit?
Sure.
Thanks.
It's okay if they don't need to see me.
I don't want to see me. I just
I
want
know.
to see, I want to see Ashley's presentation.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I'll be a little close.
You know, I would like to hide a self view. That would be
Yes.
fine. It's like the least
Every
boring
time I looked
angle.
up at it, I'm like.
I know, it's really,
Oh.
ugh.
We should be good now.
okay. So the easiest way to start talking about our partners is to talk about our Relocal Shop Local program. So it's a rewards program. It was launched before the pandemic. And we revamped it after the pandemic with the hopes of putting more of the work on the staff here and not the businesses. We know that they just survived a pandemic. So the previous program had them giving rewards to patrons, whereas now we are giving the rewards to the patrons. So we currently have 12 businesses signed up, and they are all listed here. And we have been going out to solicit more businesses, which has been kind of fun and exciting and draws us out in the community. So I'm excited for the businesses that have signed up. Some are pre-existing and were in the program before, and some are brand new, and some are having a grand opening soon if they have not already. I think Sedeka is a brand spanking new business, and they're already signed up with us. So it's just exciting to relaunch the program and be able to give rewards to the community for going out to the businesses. So we have 3 different rewards right now. So hopefully you all are signed up and are visiting the businesses, and we keep the webpage up to date. So as we get new partners and businesses, we add them to the webpage. These are the lucky 12 so far. So I thought it might be good to share the benefits, because, you know, it's not just that we partner with any and everybody. Like, we wanted to benefit the partner, and we also are fortunate to benefit as well. I look at a partnership as anybody that collaborates with us to bring programming or services or resources to the community. So that could be a business or an individual. But here for Relocal Shop Local, the library benefits are pretty obvious. It gives us a reason to do outreach, which we are celebrating with National Library Week this week by visiting 6 different businesses. So we'll be out every day. And we're just looking forward to getting out and meeting the owners of the businesses and connecting more with them. The partner also receives some benefits. We promote them in our e-connection newsletter. They get a deposit library at their location if they would like, and they can brag on the nice prizes we have for patrons to receive. So again, it's just really nice to have these partnerships. So Growing Together Pasadena, you may have heard that we were a partner with them, but if you haven't, it's official. We are a hub site with them. So Growing Together Pasadena is a network of parents and caregivers, service providers, and early childhood advocates, and they service ages 0 to 5. And so as a hub site, we are, well, we will be, because we haven't started just yet. We just signed an MOU with them. And I've been attending a few meetings and doing some tours of the other hub sites so that I know what resources they have, so that once we get all of our materials and I officially offer resources to the community, I've actually been to those places and know what those resources are, instead of just saying, here's a brochure, here's what they have. So Sophia and I had a chance to visit one of the hub sites, which is Caltech's Children's Center, this past Monday. It's a really beautiful campus. But all that to say, we are part of the Growing Together Pasadena network. It allows us to work with Office of the Young Child, the City of Pasadena, and it's all about ages 0 to 5. So again, the library benefits that we get to be a part of this network. It's been really cool working with them and seeing all the work that they've been doing. This was another pre-pandemic initiative, but of course, COVID made it very difficult to send patrons to various places that may have been closed or had limited access. So we're just excited to relaunch and really be able to offer resources to the community.
Ashley, can I just ask, so is that program focused on like connecting to resources, or is it literacy, or is it like all of the above?
It's going to be very multi-layered. That is one layer of it, the connection of the resources. They're also putting together a passport that kind of outlines a child's first year. And so each month it encourages you to visit a different location depending on the month. So for example, we are month 10 or 11. They're still tweaking it. It's not official yet. But the reason why we are is because of the story time. So they start to promote reading, playing, learning, and we have those programs and resources to provide that. Whereas, let's just say, what's another one? Slipping my mind, what it's called. It's right there in Pasadena. It's a child development center, and like they promote that one earlier on in the year. So like each month you go to a different location, you get your passport stamped, and by the time you're done, you will have visited 12 of the sites in the partnership. So it encourages literacy, it gives resources. They also ask to use our space for parent cafes. So it's just an opportunity for parents with children in that age bracket to get together. They may do workshops, early literacy workshops. It could just be parenting workshops even. So it's multi-layered, but just getting started again. So baby steps with that one. I am going to a meeting on this Wednesday to kind of move things along and move to the next step of us receiving the information we'll be sharing. All right, so this is another one of our partners, Pasadena Village. We've been working with them quite a bit. They brought us the Conversations with Art program that you may have seen in a previous board report, along with the legacy of Owen Brown. One of my favorites that just occurred is Chefs for Seniors. So about 30 seniors gathered here to learn how to cook like very quick, easy meals on an electric like hot plate. They also made salads and other like little easy, healthy treats that seniors could make on their own. I thought that was really cool to have that here. So working with Pasadena Village, once I get to the benefits, you will see, you know, that it's programming support. It allows us to provide service to seniors. They are a group that we don't always internally have programs just specifically for seniors, but through these partnerships, we are able to offer programs just for them. So that is Pasadena Village. Another one of our partners is the Lit Fest Pasadena group. So they just branched away from Lit Fest Pasadena actually, and they are Lit Fest in the Dena now. So that one is just in Altadena. And last year when we partnered with them, that's just a list of some of the authors that are writers that we had here. And as you can see, we had to have it on the main floor and it was pretty full. And we had 2 different nights worth of events and they had multiple events on each night. And it definitely brought a lot of people out to the library. This year, on May 2nd, we will have a Lit Fest in Medina writing workshop. They are doing a focus on Eric Priestley, and here's the flyer for that. So that'll be May 2nd from 6 to 8:30 here at the main library. Again, we benefit, they benefit from the partnership, and we are always looking forward to partnering with Lit Fest. Aside from this particular program, we were able to partner with them on getting, stumbling over my words. We were able to partner with them when we had the summer reading artist ask. So we wanted to commission primarily a youth artist to draw the artwork for summer reading this year. And so they were able to tap into their network because we partner with them to share the ask with them. So yeah, we are partnering with Lit Fest again this year, and Jerby is one of the key players in this, and he is a Altadena resident and a regular library user. So it's good to have that sense of community with having him on board with us. So, May partners. So you might be wondering, why do I have Upstream? Why do I have Mount Little Chambers? I consider all we work with to bring any kind of workshop, program, service to the community. So we have Upstream coming in May. That's a really big deal when Upstream comes. So we're excited about that. We absolutely love partnering with the Mount Little Chamber players. So this will be their 3rd and final concert of the season, and they always get a great crowd, and it's a really wonderful concert. We also will be partnering with Las Fotos Project. So they will be the next art exhibit that we will be displaying from May 2nd through June 29th. We also, I consider Charles White even a partner. They allow us to use their space to bring really cool programming to the space. And we actually just became official with Charles White Park. We have been going to the park and we've been allowed to do story time and other programs there, but now we are entering a more official partnership with them that will allow us to use the space for bigger events like the May 4th Be With You event that our brand new branch librarian Lauren is spearheading. So we're excited about that. And then on May 5th, we are partnering with the Carnegie Science Observatory to bring the planetarium to the library. So it's been a while since I've gotten to see that. So I'm excited that that is coming to the library. Other May partnerships, I included these as well, because again, I feel that even a partnership with a person instead of just an organization like a big Chat Care or Pasadena Village is still just as meaningful. So coming up in May as well, we have the meditation series that we partner with Amy Routledge to bring. We partnered with her last year as well. And the reason why I really wanted to include this is because sometimes we forget how meaningful the partnerships we have been. So during the pandemic, or when we were still like in the thick of COVID, Amy offered the meditation series virtually, so it allowed many people to be able to attend. And I didn't realize how much people really needed that during that time, because I had my family around me, but there were many people that live alone and benefited that we partnered with Amy to bring that virtually. We are also partnering with Barbara Wong to bring a Chinese calligraphy workshop to the library, and it'll be at the Bob Lucas branch. So every single month, I feel like we connect with at least 10 of our partners to bring programs to the library. These are a few of our new partners. because I thought it would be a little more meaningful to highlight at least 3 of them, because we partner with people all the time between the art exhibits and the programs and the increased outreach we've been doing. It just really is remarkable, the reach that Altadena Library has, to say we are a small library district. So WellBe Health is a new partner that I just started working with earlier this month. So WellBe Health caters to seniors, and they offer all types of programming, whether it be tea parties, crafts, they even do Medi-Cal workshops. So that's gonna be our first venture with them next month. We will be having drop-in sessions to help seniors sign up for Medi-Cal benefits. Boston Court Theater is another one of our newer partnerships. So Erin, our innovations librarian, has been working closely with them. We've done programs such as a community read-through, where they provide a script to a play that they're gonna be working on debuting, and all the patrons that attend can take turns reading through the script. So we had that maybe about 2 months ago, and it was very well attended. And it definitely brought the teens out. So anything that brings the teens out is exciting, because that's always a group we're trying to hold on dear to and make them lifelong users. And a third is the Corita Art Center. So they've been partnering with the Fab Lab, and they did their first workshop in collaboration with us last month. And the Fab Lab is just going to be one of our partnership hubs. They've already been reaching out to screen printing workshops, screen printing facilities, to not only bring those programs here, but host programs at their facility as well, because a screen printer is obviously hard to bring to the library. So we're definitely trying our hand at bringing programs to a different space, so outside of these 4 walls, and Corita Art Center is one of those stops. So that's just 3, but there's many more. As I've stated, all of us that do programming, we're always listening, we're always collaborating, we're always looking for new partners, anyone that can bring anything new to the library or anything we already do, and maybe they can make better. We are down to partner. And that pretty much completes my presentation. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but I struggled with how I would present all of the partners to you in a meaningful way. So I thought I would just focus on a few that we're currently working with and their benefits to us, our benefits to them, and then also put a spotlight on at least 3 of the new partners that we are working with. Any questions?
I've got a comment.
Yes.
I like to see, I know you've done this before, but I like to see you integrating services with seniors, and that program you had about teaching them how to cook hot meals on a hot plate, and that self-care stuff, I think is really gonna be important in the coming years. And so congratulations on that. And we've got a good base for that too, with the different senior homes around here. So I'm sure that'll be a rich source of new clientele, if you will, patrons for the library. So good work on that.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Awesome.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, sorry, I'm so excited that the Collaborate Pasadena early childhood thing is, I mean, we've been talking about it for years. And I'm so excited that it's finally happened, that we're gonna be a hub. Like, that's a huge deal. So congratulations on
Yes.
getting that over the line. That's a big win.
Yes, it feels real this time. I
Yeah.
had heard about it, and
Yeah.
then they went away and now they're back, and it feels like more of a solid partnership this time around, so.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done.
Cool.
Nice work.
Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks, Ashley.
Hey, That brings us on to reports. I see no report for, our support groups for the foundation or the friends. Is that accurate?
We have no reports this month, and we do not have a representative tonight.
Okay.
From my group.
So the floor is yours, Nikki, for the director's report.
Now, I'm talking about each of them a little bit, so it'll be sort of direct. So with that in mind, I will point out that the big annual Friends of the Library book sale is on May 20th and 21st. From what I understand, we're confirming times for the flyer right now, but like done in the past, Saturday, the 20th, 10 to 12 will be for Friends members. If you're not, shame on you. You can join for as little as $10. And then you get access to all the really good stuff. And then from 12 to 4 on Saturday and Sunday will be the regular sale. So I'm sure that's what Tom would be pushing if he was here. So to mirror Terry's comment, it is National Library Week. So happy National Library Week, everybody. Our Curiosity Connection is going to be all over town this week. It's making 6 different stops. So hopefully you'll be able to interact. There's more information on the website about the various Read Local Shop Local businesses that it will be visiting. Tomorrow specifically is Library Worker Day. So happy Library Worker Day to everyone. With the ALD, our staff recognition team is going to be providing lunch and dessert for all of the staff at both libraries. So happy to appreciate all the people that work for us. So I do have the great pleasure of announcing that we have promoted our very own Shawnee Downing to Adult Service Library Clerk. She started working for us in April of 2021 as a library aide, so really excited to see her promoted. We opened up a position that would be focused specifically on events and programming, because as you read in the 30 pages of departmental reports, there's a lot going on all the time. So she'll be here to help us set up breakdown, but also going to do lots of outreach. Seems like she's been kind of at everything lately. So I'm sure you will be running into her, but congratulations to her on the promotion. I'm also really excited to introduce Kristen Cantu, who's here today with us. Who joined us at the Bob Lucas branch as a library assistant starting on April 3rd. She truly has hit the ground running, and I know we say that about a lot of staff, but we got right through the onboarding really quickly, and I felt like I could tell her more. I usually feel like I give people way too much information, but she's obviously really quick to catch on to things. Prior to here, she was an English teacher in high school. Congratulations with that. With the Long Beach Unified School District, as well as many other things that I mentioned in my report. I don't know if you want to say a few words, Kristen.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the welcome, and there's a lot that I'm considered to be a part of. Yay.
Thanks for joining.
We also onboarded a new staff member last week named Natalie Del Castillo. She is filling our library clerk position that was assigned to the teen librarian. So she'll be working in youth and family services, both with children and teens. We're kind of having this position work on both sides of the department. She also comes in with some amazing credentials and is really excited to be working for the district. So yay, 2 new hires. I'm excited to bring them all on board. So we did hold, as I mentioned last month, external interviews for the adult services manager position that we opened up. Just as a reminder, we haven't filled that position since right when the pandemic started, basically. But in working with Ashley this past year, we identified that it would be really beneficial for that department to have a designated manager. We were given the top 3 candidates. Ashley, myself, and our professional development consultant, Jennifer Coyle, did 2nd round interviews and decided not to move forward with any of those candidates. So we have reposted the position, are promoting it. Please spread the word. Recruiting is an interesting thing to do right now. So we're hiring slow. We want to make sure we bring on the right person for that position. So please, if you know of anyone that would be interested in joining us, send them to the employment page on our website. We're also filling the vacancy left by Isabel Briggs in the teen services librarian position. We did external interview panels last week. We had over 25 applicants, so that one we really got a lot of qualified, interested people, which was great. The top 3 were recommended to us by the panelists, and I believe we're going to schedule interviews either next week or the week after that. So hopefully we'll have a name to share in May. Someone who will join the Youth and Family Services Department in that capacity. Those are really big shoes to fill, as I'm sure you all know, following Isabel, but she's left like a really great program for someone to take over. And with us promoting Shawnee, we're currently recruiting for library aide vacancy. This is, you know, our true entry-level position. It's only 12 hours a week. So we've been promoting it at local high schools and colleges because it's a really good job for people in school to have flexibility. So again, if you know of anyone that would be interested, send them our way. And I'm also excited to share that we have posted the paid internship position that we brought to the board last month. We're looking to hire 2 to 3, depending on how many people apply. That we also shared with PCC, GCC, and some other local boards. If you can think of other schools that you think we should be promoting that to, please let me know. We're going to be accepting applications through the beginning of May with hopes of bringing these interns on for 10 weeks during the summer. So more information to come, but this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I'm excited about it. So real quickly, I'll just touch on a couple other things. So our HR consultant, Patty Francisco, helped us conduct an ALD staff feedback survey earlier this year. That is finally synthesized and put together. I'll be sharing that individually with the trustees as well as the staff, probably within the next week. But one of the things she recommended out of the survey was putting together what she's called the staff focus group that's going to meet with her. Last week, she actually had a staff member that's interested to tackle some of the themes that came out of the survey. The first one was our attendance policy. So they met twice or 3 times already. 3 times. She's been here every Thursday in April. She's coming back again this Thursday. So having the staff help us find like the solutions and changes to the policy that they'd like to see. Which we are planning to bring the attendance policy back to the board anyway, but it will be done through that group as well. Another thing that they'd like to look at is the performance evaluation process. So that's probably going to be the next topic that they tackle, but I think that's going really well and is proving like to be a really useful resource to have this HR consultant on board. So again, more information to come. I'm also excited to share that we've kicked off our staff individual development plan process. The staff all attended training with Jennifer Coyle on March 31st. There were a couple of us that didn't make it, so we're going to be having the remainder of the staff attending training with her as well. But the idea being that staff identify these goals and things they'd like to achieve through their IDP themselves. Once they've drafted it, which like she helped them through the process of what that should look like, they'll set up a meeting. The deadline that we've set is that they need to meet with their manager by the end of May to kick off those goals and their manager helping them achieve them basically. We do what are called work plans where the managers meet with their staff at least once a month. So I believe the IDP will just be built into the conversation about their work as well as that development plan. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but the Habitat for Humanity project got pushed, like all the rain, like delayed that project really horribly, unfortunately. So we were asked to move our date. I just wanted to let the board know, and we did bring an action item tonight to move the date so we can close to June 29th, but that does mean that we will be open on April 27th, this Thursday. And I am really proud to share that as a staff, we needed to raise $2,500 and we ended up raising just over $3,500. And with an anonymous donor who was willing to match $2,500, we're actually giving over $6,000. Right. Really excited. And we had someone donate a 1-year Huntington Library membership to the staff member that raised the most. So congrats to Lori Newfang, who works part-time in technical services for that 1-year membership.
Nice.
Yeah. Really close to Huntington Libraries. That's great. Let's see what else. I'm going on and on. I did want to thank, and this is kind of my update from the foundation, David and Eleanor Fields for their hospitality and access to their beautiful backyard. for the first of a series called At Home with the ALF. They invited their friends, their neighbors, and other Altadenians to come and I brought the main library renovation board so that they could look at that and provide feedback to us and just kind of interact. But the best part of it was, and it was off script, was David wanted everyone to go around and introduce themselves. And it was story after story of how the Altadena libraries have affected or impacted their lives. So it was the coolest event.
That's
So
awesome.
we'll definitely share those out so that hopefully the trustees can attend them. I think the next one's gonna be at the McNally House.
Ooh,
I know, I'm definitely gonna be there.
that one sounds pretty
So
good.
more info to come, but it was really a really nice event that I think is gonna generate more goodwill for the foundation's fundraising efforts, as well as demonstrating how much everybody loves the library. It's pretty amazing. So second Saturday, as Ashley mentioned, we have Upstream coming. Has anyone seen Upstream before? It's
They're awesome.
they're awesome. There's gonna be a lot of people, so it'll be back outside again. On May 13th. I do have Camila on my list as doing the introduction, so I'll connect with you to make sure that still works.
No pressure.
And I also included in my report our first direct mailer. That's what this image is that Bryn put together for us. So that went out to, I think 14,000 households or whatever the number is. We're planning to, you got it? Yeah, cool. We're hoping to reach more people that maybe don't follow us on social media or don't use email or whatever. So this was our first one. I thought it was great. And it's a 6x9, so it's not like a baby postcard. It's a good size. So we're gonna continue to try to do that quarterly. We'll be building that into the budget for the next year. So thanks to Bryn for putting it together. In terms of statistics, I just felt like the theme of March 2023 was increase. We saw substantial increases in e-resource checkout, in public wireless sessions. I mean, that jumped by 1,500 from the month before, as well as, just the door count going up in both libraries. I also thought it was pretty great that between both libraries, we circulated almost 300 items out of the Library of Things.
Really cool.
Yeah, so I just things just keep going up and up, and thank you to the staff for helping support all of those increases in statistics. And that's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions.
A productive month for sure. Productive month.
That extra day.
That's what it was, very first.
Any other questions or comments for Nikki? That's what you get for being thorough.
I know,
Awesome.
I went on and on and on, sorry.
Well, thank you. So then we have our financial reports.
That's me again.
Yep.
Yeah, it seemed like kind of a, nothing crazy happened in March. So I told Trustee we probably didn't need her here, so please don't stop me. Just kidding. So the following financial reports, starting on page 42, are for the month of March 2023. We're currently at 75% of our budget year. So actual year-to-date revenue is $4,286,476. With year-to-date expenses at $2,909,600, $909,660, resulting in a net income of $1,376,816. Cash and investments are just over 30.3 million, of which 26 million is restricted for library renovation project, as you know. So the combined total of the general funds held with class, Los Angeles County and checking is $4,164,950, which is well above the 2 million required, or 50% operating expenses and reserves. So total assets are at $34,972,407, which is such a big number. The one thing I will point out, and if you have questions, happy to answer them, is that when you look on page 43 under interest income, just in March, in the general fund, we generated $22,551 in interest. And that's largely due to moving our money to class.
Sure.
That's
Crazy.
pretty good.
The interest we also moved the grant that we received from the California State Library for the infrastructure was around 3.7. We moved 3.8 of general fund over from LA County, and both made over $15,000 in interest just in March. And as long as the balances remain like that, that's what I would anticipate, because it's like between 4 and 5%. So yay, we're definitely gonna generate a lot more interest income as a result. Obviously, ideally, and I will keep an eye on it if it seems like these short-term, whatever they are, I'm not 100% CDs or whatever, however they're investing seem to not work out, but overall, I feel like it was a really smart move on our part to move that one over. And that's it, unless there's questions, which I'm happy to answer. Hopefully.
This is not so much a question about the numbers for March, which all look great. It's just a sort of where are we? Whatever happened with our unfunded accrued liability game plan? Because we did the whole thing, we set up a policy, we opened the account. Where are we? I will admit that I
That's
have
a good
fully lost
question.
track of
Yeah,
this.
So Andrew Flynn has stayed in touch with me. Our plan was to have him join the budget committee meeting in May.
Okay,
Because as we're putting together the budget numbers right now, we'll have a better sense of what is disposable that we could potentially put into UAL. But the little bit that the UAL trust,
Right.
we're paying down the unfunded accrued liability with CalPERS. But the conversations I've had with Cindy Byram and Trustee even, they still don't think it's a good idea because CalPERS is doing so poorly that we're better off keeping the money where it is and making better interest so that when things get better, in terms of CalPERS numbers, it'll pay down more.
oh, I see. Basically kind of earmark it in an
Yeah,
envelope mentally, but then not.
we're doing better.
Yeah, in class.
Let's let it keep making more.
Yeah,
So that we get more bang for our buck when we do put the money in the trust or pay down the UAL.
right, because otherwise it just sits there and it makes virtually nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
It would make less interest sitting in that trust.
Yeah, okay,
It's also something because we owe 2.9 million or whatever it is, the
Right.
unfunded accrued liability. It pays it down less right now by paying it,
right,
which I don't understand exactly. I'm not a finance person, but we'll have Andrew meet with the budget committee and
perfect.
then, have both Christie and Cindy probably propose a budget for next year as well.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because I'm just thinking as we're kind of doing better on the interest side, it
Yep.
seems smart to earmark some of that.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, that's really
Yeah.
helpful.
Mhm.
Do you have a date for the budget committee?
We do, May 11th at 1:00. Don't worry, I will be sending you lots of stuff.
Well, no, if it's not in my work calendar, it doesn't look good.
Uh-oh. Did we send that recently? I probably did. Okay.
May 11th.
It's a Thursday at 1:00. Yeah, and we're really busy in budget prep right now. The managers, providing all of their input, and we have some good stuff we're gonna propose before this year. I'm excited.
Cool. And the budget committee, that's you and I, right?
Yeah.
It's on my calendar.
No, the problem is I texted I have to put it in my
You have to resync it.
work calendar or
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm sure it's in this.
Or it doesn't really exist at the time. It's for now.
Yeah.
Same.
I totally understand. I agree.
Other comments on the finances?
I think your notes are getting better and are getting more used to them. And it's a pretty solid explanation of every line, what to look for. So thank you for that. That's a good guide for us for looking at the financials. We've got so many reports now, so getting to learn about all of those as we go through.
Just wait until we start cutting checks for construction.
Yeah. We talked about it at our CFD meeting, a couple of weeks ago. It's gonna get really busy.
We're gonna be back to 300-page board report.
Yeah,
Mostly numbers.
Oh. Okay. So we have no standing committee reports.
No, sorry about that. That would have been for the CFD committee, but we didn't have to. It was pretty minimal agenda. And we had Doug Cauliflower come. He's our new member, so we started in person. And we looked at the annual report disclosure that Nikki does to the financiers, I guess. And lets them know, you know, as we're obligated to do, the status and health of the library. That was very good. That was due in March 31st, is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
March 1st, actually.
And,
So basically a disclosure we have to do for the CFD that informs bond holders of how money's being spent.
then we had, and a couple of action items. One was, the CFD budget for the fiscal year, but there's a holding pattern on that, right? A little bit to kind of gear it or kind of index it to the overall budget that we have planning. So there wasn't much to report on that particular one.
That'll be going before the full budget committee. We just kind of gave them early estimates around what is anticipated to be spent, you know, which again, like the building projects, lots of things
Right.
in question. The other thing that was presented was the board agreed last summer to use last year's parcel tax or parcel numbers for square footage, so we could generate the rate ahead of time
Yeah.
for the budget. So Christine from NBS put together what the rates would look like, and they actually went down a little bit, which was interesting. It's like 0.48 instead of 0.49
Nice.
per square foot. So we did share that with the CFD committee and they voted to recommend. So we'll bring that to the budget committee as well. So pretty much everything that ran through CFD will go to budget committee next and then we'll forward.
Great.
And we're on a kind of a slow down schedule, as you all know. We'll be
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
times this year and probably next as well.
Cool. Next on the list is the redistricting committee, but I'm assuming we're gonna hold that for the public hearing,
Correct.
right? Okay. And then facilities committee. Katie.
So you guys have what's in the report, and the only thing I wanted to update you on that has happened since then is we did go and present to the PUSD Facilities Committee about our request to move forward with a lease for Franklin Elementary during the main library closure. So Nikki and myself and Jennifer Pearson and Doug Cauliflower all went last week and presented to them. And they had some questions, but ultimately the upshot of that was that they're gonna move an MOU forward to the full PUSD board to be voted on. So not totally clear when that's gonna happen. We're working on that, but definitely the result we wanted, which was a positive outcome from that. So we're moving on to the next step. And hopefully we can get that nailed down, you know, by their May meeting.
Temporary home for us.
That's right.
Nice.
That's right. But thank you to Nikki and to Jennifer, because they did a fantastic job on the presentation, and they had a whole amazing deck of slides, none of which they were able to put up on the board, because that was part of the challenge. So we had them printed and it was great, and they did an amazing job.
Cool. Any questions for the facilities committee?
The one I had was on item D of your report.
Yeah.
And the only note I made was on that one. Because
I know.
there's a change in the reviewer, right, for this.
Yeah, so basically the guy who was supposed to originally be doing the review left, and then we got assigned a new guy. So it's just taken a really long time to cycle through that and get some traction, but I think we're finally moving. We know the guy's name. I know Jennifer's talking to him, so like we're further along than we
So
were,
it's
but
it's not to be, still to be determined, right? You got somebody in.
The department head did tell Jennifer, I think in an email, that he believed we're still on track.
yeah, and it doesn't
Okay.
seem like there's any issue in terms of our application or anything about us. It's just that the staffing turnover has delayed the process, which is not a rapid one to begin with.
Yeah, and then there's another one I should probably know. There was talk about slant parking.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen to be the kind of parking that you can back into right on a slant. It would be a pull in slant.
Would be front end, like further down on Mariposa, you know, by like in front of the shops, like on the corner of Lake, where you're like head in parking.
Okay.
I mean, you could back in, I suppose.
Yeah, sometimes they're going to that, not highly used streets where they'll go past the parking place and back in, so it's easy for them to get out.
Like the other.
But it'd be fronted because especially on our side of this street, right, the slope goes downhill. So if you backed in and you tried to open your door, it would crush you to death.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, so you would want to have head-in parking. You might want to have back-in parking on the other side because car door would open that way, but for our side.
Okay,
on,
yeah, like I
south
said, I
side.
was just wondering.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
should
yeah.
probably known that.
Yeah, no, head-in.
Other questions? All right. Thank you, Katie. And then our government liaison report.
Yeah, it's really a kind of a follow-up. I didn't do it for this month. But we got some feedback from the group that's trying to push through, the, measure, not measure board, it's,
AB 41,
pardon me?
AB 41.
Yeah, AB 41, Assembly Bill 41, and they asked if we could use that they could use our logo. I said, sure, no problem. So this is what the letter looked like that went out. We got a lot of people on here endorsing that. So I think it's kind of interesting to follow along as this grassroots sort of organization tries to steer this bill through the California Assembly, and it's fun to keep an eye on. So there was a meeting, progress meeting or a hearing, I guess, on April the 19th. That was acknowledged by this group, but there's really no information about it yet. So as soon as there is, I'll put it on the next report.
Cool.
Thanks,
And
Terry.
then I had a question for you, Nikki, and that was, there's legislative days coming up with the FDA in May. And is anybody from here going to that?
First I'm hearing about it.
Well, because the reason I bring it up is it's in the job description in our board handbook for the government liaison officer to do this. I didn't do it last year, so I probably owe you one unless it's being covered by somebody else.
We can talk about it.
Okay. So anyway, there's that.
Have you looked to see like what their agenda is for the days? There's.
Yeah, it's a day and a half. It's at a hotel in Sacramento, which is reasonable to get to. And we only be one night away from home for me, the way I got it planned, sort of tentatively planned out. But it's a lot of meet and greet stuff, frankly. Yeah, I don't think I know a lot of people there, but I plan to shake a few hands and.
I just didn't know if there was like any specific legislation or anything that impacts us that it would be.
Not that I know of, us being the Altadena Library District,
Yeah.
or just, okay, not that I know of, but I would do some research on it before.
Yeah.
It's gonna be in about May the 17th, I want to say,
Yeah,
16th, 17th.
16, 17.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting to see what their agenda is, because usually it's a lot of special district specific stuff, but
yeah.
not a lot of it's like water district stuff, or, it tends to not be as library.
Well, they do have legislative updates from
Yeah.
a wide variety of people, big panel for that, so
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll have some interesting stuff.
Very cool.
But it was important enough to be mentioned in our board handbook early on. It must be something that we probably should keep an eye on.
Yeah, it looks like you schedule FaceTime with your own legislators in the afternoon of the 16th. So that might be good, even though I think we have good relationships with both, but, yeah,
Anyway, yeah.
let's send you Terry.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep raising the profile of all the.
That's right. That's right. If nothing else, deliver some pictures of the vending machines to Chris Holden's office.
Any other questions for Terry? Okay. So I see no trustee reports. Is that still accurate? Okay, so then do we have any unfinished business? I don't believe we do. Okay, so then that brings us to our public hearing on redistricting.
Do I need to,
I'll let you introduce.
we are happy to see you back, Kristen. This is Kristen Park from NDC, who is going to share with us a brief presentation and walk us through the adoption of our districting maps. We are now in the fourth and final meeting in the districting and redistricting process, so this is exciting. And the goal for us tonight will be to pick a map.
Before we start the presentation, I know we have a public comment. Do we want to just read that into the record when we get to the opening of the hearing itself?
When
Yeah.
we do the opening of the hearing, I'll read the comments and then you as the board can discuss.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right, hello again, and congratulations on nearing the end of this districting process. We received very good feedback from the board and did our best to incorporate that feedback into some revised maps, which we will be presenting this evening. And ideally, the board will start to form a consensus around one of these maps. And if there's any final tweaking that needs to take place, that is well within your prerogative for the evening. And you will be able to adopt that final map at a future meeting through resolution. And the way that usually works is that you just name the map. So by the names that NDC has assigned, and then you attach that map along with its demographic sheet as a PDF on the resolution. So that's where we are. We're almost through. And throughout this process, we're gonna have looked at a total so far of 5 maps. As you know, my colleague, Dr. Johnson, was here on March 25th and came away from that meeting after presenting green, purple, and orange trustee areas, focusing in on green and purple and requesting some modified maps, modifications to the green map. So today we have green C and green B. And I just want to walk you through very briefly how these differ from the original green map. And of course, the requests, as I understood them, were first that we attempt to unify within Area 4 the neighborhoods south of New York that actually share a zip code with Pasadena, so not dividing that area. So both green, B, and C do that. And then the other request was to explore how Area 5 could stretch farther north. And so what you have in green B is both of those changes. However, when you stretch Area 5 a little bit further into the hills, you have to then balance out that change. So what you see in green B is actually more change from the original map than in green C. Green C kind of goes back to less change. So here to balance that population of, we're gonna then need to add, because if you look at the blue lines here, they're the dark thick ones, those are the original green map, and then the colors are green B. So you see that the new Area 5 took some more population from Area 1. So to balance that out, Area 1 is pushing down into Area 3, down to Mountain View Cemetery between Fair Oaks and Marengo. So that's that change that occurs is sort of just the domino or ripple effect to balance the population and keep us well under that 10% maximum allowed by federal law. So that is green B. Green C, as I mentioned, is actually less change. So Area 4 here is the same as it was in green B, where it's unifying that zip code area south of New York Drive. And instead of pushing area 5 north into area 1, here we push area 5 just a little bit west into area 3. So what that means is then areas 1 and 2 in green C are actually unchanged from the green map. So it's a little bit closer to green. And it is very well balanced at the 5.16% total deviation. And all of the maps that you are now considering do have the same election cycles. So that's not going to be a differentiating factor. What we're really looking at is very minor differences between the maps on the table. So I wish I could make it very, very, obvious, but even as you look at the demographics, these maps are quite similar. If you want to zoom in and out on any of the boundaries, we can do that on the website. But ultimately, I am here to take your questions on these new maps. And also take any direction you might have if there are any final changes prior to you coming back at a future meeting and introducing a resolution to adopt new trustee areas.
I almost feel like the original green was better seeing this like cut up like this now.
Are we allowed to talk about this now, or do we have to? do this
Open it.
public hearing?
Just, that you have your discussion after the public hearing. And if you have any initial questions for me, I am happy to answer them, whether it's about the demographics or the boundary lines.
I don't have any questions.
Well, are we trying to give a consensus about green C and green B, which one suits us better, or, okay?
Well, so
Or
what
green
I'm going to call focus maps are green and purple. You said you wanted to still consider at the last meeting. Orange was not ideal. And so really it's between these 4 maps, green, purple, green C, and green B.
Okay,
And one thing that many boards do is they'll go around and each member will say, with what their individual thoughts are, and then see if a consensus naturally emerges.
okay, that helps, thank you, a little bit of guidelines there.
We do have public comment. I can open up public comment. If anybody
That would
wants to
be,
make live public comment, but I do have one that was emailed regarding the draft maps.
Do we have to
So,
open the
Yes.
public hearing?
Sure.
Yes.
So opening up public hearing right now, for public comment. I do have this one to read from a community member who is going to go by Bridget C. She did say, I vote for orange map. I prefer this because the demographics seem more equally spread around by household income and racial diversity. It also doesn't group all of East Altadena together, which seems where the highest concentration of wealth resides. It always makes me a bit nervous to have concentrated wealth in one group.
that's a good comment, that's someone who's really positive, so. great.
I've not received any further public comments, via email or otherwise.
I don't remember what orange looked like,
Do you see it?
the original one,
Yeah.
or the orange map.
Sorry, yeah, they look like this.
I can share, I
Kind
can
of put
share
Meadows
my
and
screen
Southwest
if you
Altadena
guys.
together.
It had this side, like, kind of bit, and then it had, like, West Altadena kind of split between these two.
Mhm.
Not sure. So it might be better if, Would you mind having the sharing?
Yeah, what I'm gonna do, would the board like me to pull up the orange map since we did have a comment? Is there any?
Yes.
Yes, we can start there.
And then would you mind reading it again, the comment?
Comment is, I vote for the orange map. I prefer this because the demographics seem more equally spread around by household income and racial diversity. It also doesn't group all of these alpha units together, which seems where the highest concentration of wealth resides. It always makes me a bit nervous to have concentrated wealth in one place.
The problem is that the law almost requires us to do the opposite. Right, like the law doesn't allow us to intentionally dilute
Separate the world.
any particular, at least any protected group.
Well, and if you look at like the layer where we can see the percent of, population with income that exceeds 75K. I mean, it really is clustered by and large in 3. And that's kind of a feature of every map. I mean, it's very difficult to imagine how you would chop up that kind of top bit. I mean, 1 is the other kind of major concentration, which in every map is in its own kind of container. So I don't disagree with the impulse, but I don't think that there's a way to separate out
Well, you could gerrymander the hell out of it, but then.
that
then
would be illegal though.
But
So
then
I
you're
don't think
diluting,
yeah,
I mean, to my comment, but then
Right.
you'd be diluting the voting power of the communities on the other end of the spectrum. Which is not, at least it's not my intention with this process.
so
Well, and just to add more here. It's not surprising that a lot of the highest income areas of the town are close to the hills in the northern areas, so. Here in area 1 and 3, we do in all of these maps, we are going to have one area that has the highest concentration of the lowest quintile of income and the highest. And in the green B, green C, and purple, they're all in area 1, the highest concentration. And then the highest concentration of the lowest quintile of wealth differs a little bit between whether it's in 2, 3, or 4. But the big difference between orange and the other maps is that, as Trustee Clark mentioned, in orange, it's area 3 that has that concentration at 37% of households in the highest income quintile. That's not necessarily the biggest concentration. That would be the green C map in area 5 has 40% of households in that highest income quintile.
Yeah.
And you can compare that then down to green C and purple, which have areas 1 both respectively with 28% of households in the highest income quintile.
But we don't have to worry about the balance of voters in those areas or people, right? Because that's all been done. It's that same 8,062 or whatever number.
Correct.
So I've got a question, about like, would it be possible? So I think that basically, I think that the western half of original green is very strong. Like the original green map, basically districts 1, 2, and 3. Great, fine, no problems, makes a lot of sense. I guess my question is there a version or is there a world in which you can accomplish something that looks like District 4 of Green C without pushing everything past Lake Avenue?
I don't understand what you mean.
Okay, so, all right, so you see how like in the original one, this all sits kind of on
Lake.
on Lake,
Mhm.
which is nice, right? And then what I'm saying is that the problem with the original green map is that you don't get this looped in. You don't get the
Yes.
unincorporated bits looped in. You cut them off here. And so I'm saying like, is there a way to basically have this little chunk here and then, I don't know, maybe push the northern boundary of that top one down?
No,
No,
not,
not really.
not without getting, back. So you're thinking, by the way, just like I was thinking when
Okay,
I was working with this.
okay,
And the answer is no, not really. If you're going to keep everything below New York and you want to keep current trustees separate. So what that would do is have a ripple effect where it would end up pairing trustees, and I'm not sure. Let's see, whether they would be in the same election year or not.
So if we drop, so the map that's up there right now, I think what Katie's talking about is could we just drop that hard blue line down a couple blocks in order to move the line at the bottom
yeah,
over?
Yeah,
right? And so what
exactly.
you're saying is if we did that, it just.
would mess up the sequence of election.
So it is something I can go back and look at. I'm trying to see if I can show you the
Okay.
population numbers here on the
Is what she's saying.
Right.
census blocks.
I mean, I feel like that's a lower priority. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I care less about.
I mean, I think,
There's the blocks.
I don't know about all of the trustees, but I think most of us are
Drag it over.
more concerned with the lines being correct than what impact it's gonna have on our own personal future elections.
Right. Yeah, like I don't care about mine.
I know,
Yeah.
I draw on what
Yeah,
you mean.
yeah, probably. So. You have the original green map?
No.
Okay, it's okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So imagine, so the dark lines are the original green map,
Yeah.
right? So what I'm saying is, if we could have this line here
Mhm,
come like this,
mhm,
right? And then this goes away.
mhm.
And then we would need to, if we're taking this away from here, we'd have to lose something here, right? So can we lose some of this or some of this, or like basically shrink down some top of this of 4? Yeah, because 5 is gonna have to pick up this little bit. Yeah, because originally that was part of
So
it.
to account for snatching this little bit, you wanna. put
Take away
it
some, yeah, or what, I don't know
Or
where,
somewhere.
yeah, like maybe above Mendocino or
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe a corner here or something. I don't know what makes the most sense, but yeah,
Yeah, so
basically.
you can see here, these gray lines that are on top of the streets.
Yeah.
These are the blocks.
Okay,
And you can, sort of get a sense of what the population might be from even the buildings. But it really depends on what the population is, right? So this one is 85, population of 85. But if we wanted to try, in order to accommodate having, this boundary get back for area 4, get back to Lake,
Mm-hmm.
because it's, so just thinking about this, sometimes residents like having a block on both sides of the street in the same area, right? Because if it feels like a neighborhood, but since this is such a major, artery, I think it does make sense to have that boundary there on Lake. It's just, it would involve, I can't remember which trustee is where, right? But it would, I think, end up grouping trustees. And if you don't mind that, I'm happy to send you a version of this map that does just this.
Well, it would be me and Terry, right? Cause I'm 5. And Terry's in 4.
Yeah,
So I mean, Terry, I don't know how you feel, but I don't care.
I keep trying to focus on what the goal of this is. And
Right.
The one thing about it all that bothers me is that I don't want to come up with a district that doesn't have enough interested people to run the seat.
which is the main reason that we attempt to keep you in separate ones for the time being, right? And of course, you'll revisit these in 10 years.
Well, okay, fine, but I mean, there is absolutely nothing about the current 5 people who are here that represents like an average distribution of interest for trustee seats, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that you can say those two are correlated. And I think in any of the iterations of the maps, we would be able to find people in each district. I mean, I don't think that there's a way you could slice it, having 8,000 people where there's not at least one person among those 8,000, right?
Yeah, I can see to that. And that's
Yeah.
the difficulty of this whole thing.
Yeah,
Can you do what you're doing, but with the original green?
Yeah.
Map? Can I?
yeah, cause like if you could just pick up that bottom chunk in
Here's what
4.
I'm gonna just. So I think what is, if we go down a block or two here in order to capture this. in
Yeah.
color, Right?
Right, exactly. Basically along, what is that, along New York, kind of
Yeah.
south of New York.
I think the answer is yes. I don't want to promise anything without looking at the numbers.
So like, yeah, so like right.
Yeah, like take a
Yeah,
little
I
off the
mean,
top.
and the key there is that there is no east-west street cutting all the way through there, so it might be a little bit of a, jagged
Or maybe you
bit, but if
lose
it's
a
more
little
important
square.
to you to keep a boundary here at Lake, I do think that it is possible then to pull this area south of New York Drive back into 4 while giving to 5 area here north of Mendocino. I do think that that's possible in terms of balance.
And I don't
That-
feel like it's taking up floor here, but.
No, I mean, this is exactly what your job is, right?
But I feel like that makes the most sense, right? Because just in terms of like thinking about your point, Terry, right, of like, what is the electoral pipeline? Every other public agency district, PCC, Board of Trustees, PUSD, they all have Lake as that boundary, split east-west. So if there's somebody who's like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll like run for something, then there's someplace for them to go, right? Versus otherwise they're kind of districted out, which is not great.
I think it's also a neighborhood issue, right?
Yeah.
So like these neighborhoods along here, even if there's no east-west street connecting them, the more important thing in here is north-south anyway.
Yeah,
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 Right? And so these communities are gonna be more connected with these versus down here, this is where like, there's a concentration of apartments and rentals that is gonna be more connected with the folks, like all these streets run together, like this is very much a connected neighborhood right here that we're splitting up.
right. Yeah, that piece has to, I
I
almost.
precinct block that, like this
Yeah.
is a connected neighborhood right here.
Can I borrow
Like,
that thing? I almost wonder, Kristen, if you could get this little square here that's like basically Porter and Mendocino,
Yep,
like this guy would be pretty good, or even over a little bit to like, what is that? Brayburn, right? Like if it came sort of down here. Cause that's sort of a continuous piece as well, right? So I feel like there's a little corner north of the golf course that makes sense to stick in 5.
yeah, and just keeping in mind that there is more population.
Right, I
down
get it.
here.
Yeah, so you might have to do
You know,
more.
yeah, it
Might be
a
this
lot
whole
of this.
chunk,
It might be
yeah.
that whole chunk.
And that would be fine. Like if everything
So-
north of Mendocino went into 5 so that this piece south of New York could come into 4.
Why would that be so different from Green Sea where we chopped out the right corner east of the golf course?
It's not. The problem with Green Sea though is that
This-
it funkifies everything around
This
Lake.
is 5 down farther south as opposed to taking it, you know, over here, this area north of Mendocino, right?
Yep. And then it also has
And-
5 cross, it has 5 cross Lake.
Not compact, you know,
No.
we're talking about wanting a district that is compact, having this little, you know, finger pointing up or
Yeah.
something. is-
Yeah, it's weird.
That's basically what.
Yeah. No, totally.
So Katie, you just want to trade, right, that one corner.
That's right. Yeah,
With that.
That's what I want. that's exactly what I want. I wanna switch out, I wanna put this into 4. And I wanna lose whatever off the top we have to and put back into 5 to make it work out numbers wise. And I think, like, I don't know the numbers, but I'm guessing somewhere around Mendocino would work.
And what's your goal for that?
My goal is that there are 2 kind of things that I think are important. Even just as like thinking about it as a mental model of how people think about Altadena. One is I think that maintaining a boundary line along Lake Avenue makes a ton of sense.
Mhm.
The other thing is that I think having a continuity with this unincorporated bit south of New York is important. And I think keeping 5 south of San Merrill is important. Like when 5 starts to creep up over the top,
Mhm.
then I think it starts to, I think it starts to dilute what's happening on the west side of the map. And I think that the west side of the green map is actually really pretty good.
Yeah,
It's just this sort of little corner down here on 4 that I feel like is not quite right.
Right, so because Green Sea encroaches and takes away from the top end.
Yeah,
You really want to maintain 1, 2, and 3. which-
I want to keep 1, 2, and 3 from the original green map and then swap out whatever's necessary to achieve that continuity south of New York for the unincorporated bit.
Yeah, so, some version of that I do think is doable in terms of your process and procedure. If I got that to you next week, you would then want to make sure that you are posting it online at least 7 days prior to when you do introduce your resolution to adopt.
I mean,
So
like,
that's
but
just
that's
the
just my opinion, right? Like, I'm talking, that's just my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel, but
I would strongly support that. Cause I agree, I think 1, 2, and 3 are. My priority is first maintaining neighborhoods and community. As long as you can do that while also being cognizant of not diluting any particular, you know, voting block, right?
yeah.
I think all of us had said from the beginning that the last consideration for us is where the current trustees are at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
The thing about 1, 2, and 3 feel like need to be connected to our library geographically. And as you know, the further away people get from the sphere of influence, especially of this library, the less likely they are to be involved in what's going on here. So that's why I think the book is critical to 3 and 4 money and Green Sea map. 4 and 5 to strike a balance here, and that's kind of what you're talking about, so.
Yeah. Would be cool to see, I mean, the report that Nikki gave about the backyard events, like, it'd be cool. Once we establish these, to think about expanding that and be very, like
Intentional,
thoughtful
yeah.
about where we do
Mhm.
those. So that 2-3 years from now, we've already got candidates or at least interest.
Well, and I bet you cash money, if you looked at all the people who have applied for board vacancies over the last 4, 5, 6 years, you would find a distribution with at least 1 or 2 people in every single one of these districts.
One thing that I noticed about that group too, just, anecdotally, is that they seem to be fairly new residents to those areas as well.
Often, yeah.
People that have just moved in. So I think that, generally speaking, as more and more people move into Altadena, younger people more engaged in political issues and so on, you're gonna see a general rise in interest for that sort of thing. But, how long will that take and where they come from, et cetera. I agree with you too, Katie, that having Lake Avenue as a dividing line is probably a good way to go.
I think it just makes sense, like sort of, and I don't know, maybe that's just because I live on Lake Avenue, but it just seems like it sort of intuitively look at it and you're like, yeah, that seems right.
People generally don't cross, like all, the dog walkers and the joggers and
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
that, like they generally don't cross. Especially the further up the hill you go, the faster people get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like when I walk up Lake and then I turn right.
Yep.
And I go into, whatever's Palm or wherever. I don't go across the street because
Well, and there's also Altadena Drive at 8 a.m., which is like a killer freeway. And
it's totally, yeah.
So
Get across that.
when I do this, because it will put 2 trustees with different election years into, most likely it will put both a 2024 and 2026 into area 4, then you will have the choice, and just keep this in mind, of deciding whether that area 5 that doesn't have a current trustee, whether that's a 2024 election or a 2026 election, right? You just want to make sure you choose one area to have 2024, one area to have 2026. Of course, nobody currently, no current members of the board are having any changes to their terms. They will complete their at-large elected terms. As such, it just determines when that first by-area election.
It would be 4, right? That would be open because it would put
Oh, you
both
would
Terry and
be
myself
5.
into 5.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay.
You're right. And so sometimes what boards like to do is say, oh, well, if that's gonna be an open seat, we want to have more time to recruit candidates. So
Right.
we want to give that one the 2026. But
Oh, I
again, that
see what you're
choice
saying.
is up to.
Okay, so if we were able to do kind of what we've been describing and then both Terry and myself are in 5,
Yeah,
we could say, okay. That would be kind of weird though, because then
It's-
basically
it's-
West Altadena would vote 1 cycle, right?
And the transition's gonna be weird.
Yeah, okay, well, whatever, that's not that important.
weird, but it's a transition.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
appreciate how forward thinking all of your discussion has been.
Like I could see us doing like some kind of semi-generic lawn signs that we could use into the future with like a QR code. That like the district that's open, you put them up around, it's like, hey, if you're interested in running,
Totally.
scan the QR code. Like,
Totally. Yeah, I think there's a lot we could do. I think it matters more that we have lines that make sense. And we can figure out the electoral math on the back end, like who cares about that, but I don't know. I feel like that minor adjustment to the original green map.
My question is there, the timing is okay for that, right? So we could do that and come back to the next meeting. And look at what would be green, A, B, C, D. And then decide if it works, if you're able to make it happen. If you're not able to make it happen, then we'll be still back, in the same
Right.
position with A, B, and C, the green, A, B, and C, and then purple. To
Exactly.
decide between. And so you're saying we have time for that, there's not an issue there.
Yeah, there's really, so from here on out, you have really, no specific time constraints. The only thing to keep in mind is just that new map does need to get posted 7 days prior to any
To the meeting.
adoption vote on it, if you do ultimately choose to adopt that new map.
So would we have to do technically then the May meeting would be another hearing, and then June we would vote.
No, so you have completed, as of this evening, you will have completed 4 public hearings. The only public hearing remaining that's required is on the adoption vote. So once you've already decided on, and you can do this in the same meeting, right? Ideally. So ideally, at the next meeting, you will have a green D map. If that's one you like, you can just take your draft resolution and drop green D, into a blank on that resolution. And then after you have a public hearing on that, and then you can actually vote on that adoption in the same meeting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What was the 7 days then?
So the 7 days is just, you need to make sure that the map is posted on your website 7 days prior to that meeting.
Okay, prior to.
Yeah, and that's to give the public time to review it.
So then the next meeting is on the 22nd, so you're saying basically it would have to be posted by May 15th if we were to vote in that
Yeah.
meeting and.
But to be clear, it's posted on the website, not in the meeting, no.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it will likely be just as it has been for all of these meetings, both on the website and in your board materials.
Right,
Yeah.
but our board materials are these things, so I just want to.
Yeah.
Apply.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we do that we come back in,
Before you do that, can we?
Yeah.
Talk about, the public comment and whether we need to do anything to address that? To me, it seems like, statistically insignificant for when they talk about the income. Like, we're kind of horse trading X with Y, but if we do that, we change the imbalance, but the statistics are still there. Would you agree?
Yes, I would, and particularly because those income statistics are not coming from the total population census, they are coming from that random sample survey that's done annually, so there is a statistical margin of error in those percentages, so that's why when I say, the differences of 1 or 2 percentage points there
Right.
may or may not actually exist.
Right. So, I mean, orange, we're not considering, even though it appears to be more equitable in a sense, but it's really not, it's just
Yeah.
I think that you're trading, right, I think you could make the argument about sort of income variance, but basically what you're doing is you're gerrymandering West Altadena, which
Right.
I think is a way bigger problem. And you're creating this kind of weird parenthetical shape.
Right.
I'm just glad we got it on.
No, I mean, it's good, but I feel like, we should address it. I think
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
Yeah, good
Well,
point.
could you go over the change one more time that you're suggesting?
So
Okay,
this-
there's a point about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, exactly.
That's what it would look like, and then this one would look like
Uh-huh.
such,
That's exactly right.
and these will stay the same.
And these would stay the same, exactly. Could
Okay.
you zoom out just a little bit, Kristen? Sorry.
Yeah, I think it's that other view, this view or the other one, so.
Okay, great. That's fine. So basically, the idea is that everything on the west side of Lake would stay the same. So this is the original green map. So 1, 2, and 3 would stay exactly the same. 4 would reach down to incorporate this bit south of New York Drive. That's the unincorporated bit, unincorporated Pasadena that's part of our service area. And then because we're taking this chunk away from District 5, we would lose something on the north side of District 4, bringing this down, because right now this is at Altadena, bring it down to maybe Mendocino or something to make up for, because like what Kristen was saying is this is more dense than this is, right? So even though it might look like the area is the same, we may need to lose more of 4 to make it work out. But basically something north of the country club would go into 5, and then this would swap over to 4.
Does that density, represent more apartment dwellers and?
Yeah, it's just denser housing, right? So this bit here, it's more apartment buildings and there's just smaller houses. These are big fancy houses here next to Country Club.
But it might be that we lose the top and also east of the golf course.
We might lose this little L bit. Yeah, it's totally possible. But I still feel like that's a continuous district, that makes sense. And also, I think that people who live in this unincorporated bit south of New York, I mean, they do think of themselves as.
Pasadena.
They do, yeah, they do. But there is a coherence to that neighborhood that is important. So I think that makes sense. And I think that there is a split. I mean, if we can accomplish it, there is a split north of New York that makes sense to be in 5. And then kind of how you deal with this bit around the country club is flexible.
What are your thoughts if that's not possible? Due to the numbers and the concentration of lots of people down in that little boot of yeah.
Kristen, do you think
So
that?
some version of it is possible, it's
Okay.
just how much of the
How much you gotta
four are
take.
you losing?
Mhm.
And keeping in mind that this is gonna create a 4 that looks more like Green Sea. What you're gonna end up having is area 4 that is, all getting closer to half of the households being, rental households, not necessarily multifamily homes, but renters. So, I do think that this is gonna be doable, whether you like it or not, you can determine, when you see it. But I do think it is possible.
Okay.
And creating a district with a renter voting block is
Hell
not
yeah,
the worst thing in the world.
let's do that. That sounds great. The sole member of the renters caucus.
Definitely an underrepresented public office.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay. So do I need to make a motion to do all that? Okay,
No,
No.
you're saying no, Kristen?
No, so basically you're giving direction to me, your consultant, and I will
Interesting.
follow through on it.
Dope.
So thank you for that, and it's been such a pleasure working.
Thank you.
thank you, Kristen. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Kristen.
I just appreciate everybody for just taking the time to do this right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do confirming, we do have lots of time, so we can do that.
Our
Yes.
committee chair is
Good.
keeping us on
She's a
track.
forward thinker.
Yeah. Okay, so new business. We have a landscape and gardening RFP. Starting with page 67, Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, board. So what you have before you is that we are writing RFP for gardening services that will extend to as a 3-year contract. So we're gonna do that in this a little more beefier. We had Carlos Lafito help us with this RFP, and he helped us with this. And so the last time we did this, we didn't have that many contractors come out to it or bid on it at all. But this time it gives us more representation and it's a little more beefier, the scope of work that's in there. And if you see the RFP, gets more about maintenance, irrigation repair, also other things that we need to take care of. And especially since we are in AGSA Green Zone, which is American Green Zone Alliance. And we are, we just use nothing but electric equipment to take care of our gardens here. That is one of the specific certifications that we have on this RFP to take care of this. And so we just want to be able to, it's going to be, the materials will be provided by the contractor, the needed equipment, which is electrical, batteries and things like that. They will be taking care of weed control, hedge control, lawn maintenance support. Mulching was also included in this contract too, and irrigation repair. Because lately we've been doing a lot of it ourselves and I'm getting tired, but it's good to have that also on hand. So that way it frees us up to do more stuff with, say, the building projects that are coming up. And so that's what we're trying to do there. So our suggestion is that, as you see, the fifth impact will add it up, since it's gonna be over $10,000, because they have to incorporate all the, like material supply, such as irrigation supplies, and then the other that's needed. And, but it's gonna be a little increase monthly, and so we just asking that the board rules. Do you have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
So, and I just thought about this right now, because is there any kind of language in the contract that accounts for instance, while the Bob Lucas is completely torn up, I don't know how much landscaping we're gonna need there during that time period, right?
Right, and so that is addressed in there, and so it does show, if you look at the pages, it does say that, knowing that Bob Lucas will be cut short upon that, but still May will be here for about 1.5 years, and once that flips over, then there'll be other things that we take care of at Bob.
Yeah, I see section 1.
Okay.
We got a little paragraph about it.
Other questions or comments for Jonathan?
A couple of little things for me, that on the report that came in, there's a small discrepancy about the use of electric instruments for it. And I see that you in red print further on, everything has to be electric, which I think is great.
Yes,
And that's an example for the neighborhood, but at the very beginning, I think it was in your report, Vicky, there was I think the 2-cycle engine would be okay for a lawnmower, but those don't overlap at all, right? I mean,
no 2-cycle gas equipment for lawnmowers except because lawnmower is not a 2-cycle, it's a 4-cycle.
okay, but the lawnmower was mentioned as one, so that's not eligible to be a gas engine, right?
Right, but most, we read all the equipment here, and this part of it, that was probably a little typo on my end. But the other part is on the main RFP, it does show that it's all electric equipment,
Right.
even the lawnmower.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that that.
Right. Yeah, so the RFP has the right specifications on it.
Okay. And then another one for me was that there were insurance policies listed. And I'm not an insurance person, but the terminology was slightly different between the application for the vendor and the contract that they would sign. And I don't know if you need to look at that and kind of stabilize the category that you have on there. And what I can do is,
Give me the page.
when you look at page 72, these are insurance requirements that are in the proposal for the RFP that they're gonna do. And then when you look at page number 93, they're mostly in there the same way, but there's one, errors and omissions liability. I'm not sure if that is something that falls into the workers' comp insurance line, in other words. So I guess I wanted to see the insurance terms be the same in both the RFP and the contract. So that would help the person that's filling it out know exactly what we need. Does that make sense, John?
It makes sense.
The key thing here, if you look at page 72 in the packet, you'll see insurance requirements. That's under the RFP. And then you look at page 93, the contract, and the terminology is slightly different. I'm probably being too nitpicky, but it's just something to
No,
jump
it's
out.
definitely a question for the attorneys.
Right.
This is just in the standard language and both the RFP as well as
Okay,
the professional services agreement. So I'll double check with.
okay. You might want to, right?
Yeah, but it sounds like this is a specific case of the professional insurance that requires more insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least a different maybe type. So in the RFP, they're signing up for what's on the RFP, and then the contract is slightly different. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it might be covered under E, but they can figure that out.
Yeah.
That's a good catch, Cherry.
Yeah, take care.
I nominate Terry to be our new copyright editor.
So John,
Thanks, Terry.
to the original point about the timing, so I can't understand, so this is it for regular maintenance or is it for the on-call for us to request things? How does it work?
So they will be coming one time a week to do the general maintenance on there. And if there's any type of, if there is a breakdown, or they need to come up any emergency, there is a breakdown for that. And so they will set their hourly rate for that point. There is a on-call, and they will be doing, when they'll do a walkthrough. Every time they come over here, they'll see if there's any broken sprinklers at the time. They'll see if there's any type of maintenance that needs to be taken care of at that time. And the repair will be done at that time. If something happens, well, say like on a Sunday, all of a sudden, I get a call that, there's something shooting out of the air, water's coming through. I could be able to call that, and I will be able to call the service, and they will be able to come during that time according to the extra hours or emergency.
Right.
Higher rate.
Hourly rate, yes.
Right, but then when the closure happens, then like, I still don't understand how it's worded here, like you pause the fog section, or is that costed separately, because there's no difference, right?
It just allows us to change the schedule.
Yes,
They're just invoicing each month,
That's
right? So if they're not doing
Yeah,
anything, they're not
they're
invoicing.
invoicing each month, and whatever the cost comes from that point, that's all it is.
Okay, if they're invoicing that, okay.
Yes,
And so the last thing is this the right, period of performance for like 3 years with, 1 year extensions? Should we do 2? Should we do 4? Like, what's the?
We typically do
Sure.
3.
yeah, typically it's straight,
Renew
yeah.
additional years, with the idea being that we would go back out 5 years.
5?
Yeah.
So I mean, so do we want to do that? Or do we want to stick with the 3?
Well, it's 5 years with the 2 extensions, right? So it's a 3-year scope with 2 1-year extensions allowed. So typically, the idea is that you then re-RFP all the
Right.
contracts every
No, but
5 years.
it's written as 3 1-year extensions.
Oh,
So my
shouldn't be.
question is. do we
Oh, it
want-
shouldn't be. That's
It's
It's
correct.
a 3-year contract with, it
Right,
should be with the
2.
ability to do 2
Right.
here. Okay. Is that in the RFP?
It's you're right, it's on page 76. That's an error.
Okay.
Should say 2 options for 1-year extensions.
Should we have all these proofreaders around?
No, it's good. Yeah, that should say 2.
And then Jonathan,
so
so
yeah, it should be, yeah.
I don't know about, so when they say mandatory, like if they don't attend the pre-proposal meeting, they cannot bid.
Yes.
Okay. That's good.
So we have the one correction, so. Are there questions or comments? If not. can I
2
get a
corrections,
Yeah, there's
2
2.
corrections.
2 corrections.
Well, I'll inquire about the errors and omissions. Part of it.
Terry's observation about the insurance
But
thing.
that's not specific, like that's in all of our standard,
It's in all standard PSAs, depending on the scope of work. of the
Yeah.
consultants,
yes,
but
we need to look at that.
I'll find out if we need to add that to the RFP or not. That would stay as standard language in the PSA.
Okay,
Okay.
are folks comfortable voting on this at that time? We've got one correction and then. Okay, so with that said, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, trustee Lynn? Trustee Andrews?
Aye.
Trustee Clark?
Aye.
Trustee Wilkerson?
Hi.
As I vote for me as well. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Okay, action item on the Habitat for Humanity date change. Nikki gave an overview of that and the reasons why. Do we have any? And again, congratulations on our amazing staff for raising the boat of money for Habitat for Humanity. I'd love to get to see that in Altadena. So any other questions or comments before? Okay, so motion to approve.
So moved and seconded.
All right, roll call vote, trustee Lynn. Trustee Andrews. Trustee Clark.
Aye.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Aye.
As I vote for me as well. Did we ever find out if the trustees would be able to attend?
I don't know if you, I don't know if you can hear, Mark offered the trustees to be able to attend the Rotary. Their date
Okay.
also moved to a different date.
Oh, okay, cool.
But-
Oh, did it really? Cause I wasn't gonna be able to do the May one, but they moved it.
It was June 13th. I think they're now like June 20th or something. I'll have Mark send me, they got rescheduled too.
Okay,
Yeah, they were May 13th.
Yeah, we're gonna, like, the last time we looked at the numbers, I think we have as many as they want to be there.
oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's, yeah.
but I'll get you guys that date. I think it's, I can't remember. I'll find out from the Rotary.
Do we have any, I don't think we have anything under governance, correct?
Oh, we had our additional,
Oh, that's right.
Item.
We had the new, letter of support.
And what I can do is I can share, I posted it as a PDF on Veronica's email, so I'll
Okay.
pull it up and then I'll read it aloud.
Oh,
perfect, thank you.
that's awesome. And this was at the request of Veronica, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So this is from Veronica Jones. First, I want to thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing in Alpena. Your work does not go unnoticed. I get excited each time I think about the renovations of the Baldwin's Library. I, along with the Altadena Historical Society, are currently working on a project with the Low Lives Respectable Citizens Club to bring to light the history of Robert Owens. Robert Owens was an ex-slave that became one of the richest men in LA County by selling lumber from the Altadena Hills to the military. We have partnered with Low Lives Respectable Citizens Club and submitted a proposal to the USFS to place a sign with the history of Robert Owens on the El Prieto Canyon Trail. That she might be referring to the map right there.
No, I think it's.
That's what it means.
It's what it translates.
Just kidding. I am asking for a letter of support by the end of business day, Friday, April 28th, for this amazing project. Time is of the essence, as we are hoping to install the sign prior to June 19th, 2023, and have a community ceremony with the unveiling of the sign on Juneteenth, 2023. Attached is the latest USFS proposal for your reference and website for more information on Robert Owens. I have also attached a letter of support from Outbound for your reference when writing your letter if you decide to do so. Apologize that I can't be there tonight in person. I sit on another board that meets tonight at 5 p.m. Otherwise, I would gladly be there. It would be an honor to see the amazing individuals that are leading the innovation efforts in my neighborhood. Please let me know if you have questions or concerns. This project helps us share in the diversity of our history here in Alpena. Thank you in advance for any consideration you might give to writing a letter of support. Below are links for more information.
And I just want to point out, like, this entire project, I think, is just emblematic of what makes Altadena awesome. When you have the mountain biking community coming together with Altadena Historical Society to like preserve this kind of history, it's pretty damn cool. So I'm more than happy to sign on to this letter.
This is the link that was in the letter.
Yes, this is the link that was Veronica's letter and there's more information.
I'm trying to visualize where that is on the,
There
So if
are
you've ever
trail.
walked up the, like, where everybody parks at JPL and goes walking along the Gabrielino, at one point, there's like that right turn, there's a sign for Brown Mountain Trail.
and the El Prieto
If
Trail
you go
goes
up
up.
there, and then
Uh-huh.
the next split is El Prieto Trail.
Yeah, where the rattlesnake sign is.
Yeah, and then that connects, that dead ends, that hits what is officially the Millard Canyon Trail
Mhm. Yeah,
further up.
okay.
And if you know, the history of that, like basically, like, you know, some folks that have been mountain biking that and taking care of that trail forever were like, I wonder what the history is, and started looking into it.
Mhm.
And yeah, it turns out like he started with just logging, and then at one point was the largest landowner in Los Angeles. Like most of what was downtown LA in the Arts District, he owned at one point. Right, right? So the history is pretty amazing. So like,
Oh,
at
yeah.
some point, where El Pietro Trail is how he brought the lumber down
Hmm.
in to be processed in that area, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Signage,
okay.
which was also included in Veronica's correspondence.
And we'll post this on the board
And
page.
That's
yeah,
pretty
and
cool.
already
It's really
been-
cool.
Oh, it's already been posted.
And it's going to be similar
Mm-hmm.
to signs that are already existing. This is a rendering of what it'll look like.
Looks good.
It's great.
It's exciting.
It's really cool.
And it's just, some of the same folks were involved in a few years ago with the efforts to preserve the gravesite for Brown as well.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a picture of Robert Owens that we just got past?
That is
Mhm.
his grandson. We may have that photo, it's possible, I have not read through this whole thing, maybe they don't have a photo per se.
And there's all the work behind the scenes that got put into, like, when you get stuff approved through the Forest Service, there's like the book of details and
Very
like
cool.
exactness of what has to be done to get approved is pretty insane. Like all the signs you see in the Forest Service, there's a single company that's approved to make those in Colorado.
Well, that's
Because
not
the color, like everything has to be like this exact.
their attention to detail then is the process detail, right? Not the factual historical detail.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, both and
Yeah.
also the historical is pretty good. Like I.
Yeah,
I
no,
read through
there
they
was,
got it.
the history side of it, there's a lot of work put into it. It's a really great collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the ask is just that the library district write a letter saying, we think this is an awesome idea and we totally support it and we hope you do this and please make it happen, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should definitely do that.
Agreed. We need to make a motion.
Yeah,
So moved,
seconded.
what she said.
Who's
That's so
gonna take
official.
responsibility?
I know, I like it.
Who's gonna take responsibility for drafting the letter?
Mm.
She's already drafted.
Oh,
Nice.
good
In the
job.
event that you guys
Nailed it.
would like to do
Make
it.
that available.
All right, we have
Very
a motion that's been seconded. Can I get a roll call? Trustee Lynn. Aye. Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
Trustee Clark.
Aye.
Trustee Wilkerson.
Aye.
And that's an aye vote for me as well.
Please include in
Thank you,
Carolina's
team.
evaluation that she's forward-thinking and proactive.
That's
I
right.
can't wait to see what project Veronica comes up with next. There's so much great stuff in preserving history. Okay, so now that I'm back on track, I don't believe we had any governance issues. So then we have the correspondence on pages 104 to 106. Seems pretty straightforward. I don't know if anybody has any questions too, but
Regarding the
budget for.
Alaska budget.
yeah, that was put in the package, just to let us know that they released their budget and so on. And I read one of chills to say about that.
Okay. Announcements and planning. Future agenda items, any affected stuff with anybody? With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, and we are adjourned at 7:02 PM. Thank you for the meeting, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
safe week.